talk booking international travel because I know it can be really kind of overwhelming. There's a lot that goes into it. So let's talk about what I do as an executive assistant, how I book international travel, because yes, it can be very intimidating. There's a lot that goes into it. Even after I've done it for this many years, it still makes me nervous because things can always go wrong with travel. But let's go through it together. I have a checklist. I have a travel checklist. I have an international checklist and a domestic checklist because they're a little bit different. If you need them, go to my bio, grab that. But I always go by a checklist. The first thing that you want to do is, if it's international, figure out what countries they are going to be visiting. And then you need to figure out if they need a visa for those countries. That's the first thing you need to do. And you need to do it like as soon as you figure out that they're traveling, because visas can take a little bit. And man, I just had to fill out a visa. I mean, not just, it was a few months ago, but I had to fill out the form for my boss to go to India. I had to fill out this questionnaire for my boss, and this questionnaire had so many questions to it. Like there's a lot that goes into it. So anyone that's traveling, you gotta make sure that they do their visa and that they get that submitted. If your company doesn't already use like a visa company or like that they work with someone, I mean, the only company I know is CIBT Visas. That's the one I always go through, and they tell you exactly what you need. But what I also did is I talked to someone that lives in India, and I asked them, okay, which visa do they need? Is an electronic one fine, or do they need a different one? And she confirmed which one that they needed. So that made my life a lot easier because it's already a little stressful. Like you don't want them to get held up in customs or anything. So yeah, visa number one, and especially like you don't want them to get to the country that they're going to and not have a visa, not have a work visa. And I'm not talking about a credit card, I'm talking about a work visa. So, that's one thing that you definitely want to make sure that you are doing is checking what they need to go to that country to work. As soon as someone tells me that they are traveling, like my boss was like, hey, we are planning a trip to India. Just like you, I get nervous when it comes to international travel because I know how much goes into it, and it's not like a wham bam domestic trip that's super easy. No, there's a lot that goes into it, and you got to make sure that you have everything figured out. So number one is a visa. Number two, make sure that their passport is good, because typically a lot of these countries you need at least 6 months before the passport expires in order for them to travel to these different countries. So right there, if their passport is not, if it doesn't have 6 months left in their book, you gotta get them a new passport. So it's looking into all of those little tiny details that don't seem like a big deal, but they're needed for travel. Luckily, I had a contact on the ground in India. She was so helpful. She helped book the car, she booked the hotel. She was so freaking helpful. So if you can find someone in that country, or if you know someone in that country, if they can actually help you kind of plan the travel, it's gonna make your life a whole lot easier, because it can be stressful to book these kind of trips when you're not familiar with it. If you don't have a contact on the ground, I would start looking at different trip boards. I would start doing my research for what they need to get into that country, because the last thing you want is them to get stuck in customs or stuck at the airport because they don't have the correct documentation. Another thing you have to think about is time differences. Are they going to be taking meeting on US time when they're in this other country? Think about the time differences. I always create a travel agenda, and the reason I do this is to keep me organized so that I know that they're getting from point A to B to C to D, like they're going through every single thing throughout the day, and I know that they're covered for each step. If you need my template for a travel agenda, that's also in my template library with my checklist, so you get all of those together. I do a lot of research. I Google it. Don't worry, I Googled it, okay? That's how I learn a lot of stuff, is from Google, is from researching, is from reading different travel boards for that specific country even, and getting familiar with it. Big thing here is using a checklist. It's going to help you so you don't forget anything, because there is so much that goes into international travel. It's easy to forget a lot of things. That's why I always make sure that I use a checklist.